these are not things that create or constitute or build up the resume of a healthy consciousness, a healthy individual consciousness. And we must understand that these sort of practices, these activities, these destructive or counterproductive activities that we find ourselves wasting time in, these are things that, again, we must examine how much more do we give to the individual personality and desires over the complete progress and overall unified ethos progress. Which one do we weigh more and less? You know, we have to understand that if we continue to do what we want to do and leave everybody that looks like us behind, you know, we may get a few days, a few nights of enjoyment, but we're leaving behind recklessness and havoc for the generations that come after us to have to deal with. Okay, so in addition to that individual conscious, you know, we also must understand that we only have 168 hours in a week. We only have 168 hours in a week. We're asleep for a third of that time. That's 56 hours. You got 112 hours left. How much of that time are you using to promote your education? How much more time are you using to promote your own business? How much more of that time are you using to help elevate your neighborhood, your community? How much more time are you putting into your spiritual practices, grounding yourself in the morning prior to when the world wakes up, so that you can meet that world with your highest potential, so that you can fulfill your specific roles with your specific blessings and skill sets for the entire group, because the group is counting on you. Next, we have to understand that we have to cease the perpetuation of the black male and female relational stereotypes, okay? We must cease to relate to one another in such vile terms. The way that we spoke about music last week, the way that music says that we need to be interacting with one another on a continuous basis is corrosive. It's destructive. It is not the way that we build up, like we use the term left and right, build up young kings and queens, because kings and queens don't deal with one another in that manner. Okay, so examine the way that you speak to your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your family. Examine the way that you speak to and interact with your friends. Okay, if you are so-called friends with somebody, but you're constantly calling them out of their name, the N word or the B word, or calling them a dog, or calling them a savage, or any of these things, you know, how much is that really your friend? Because all we have to do is take a turn into the dictionary and look at what these words mean. Yes, you may be using a word and creating your own definition because you want to call it culture, but that's not the same as creating an acronym. I've created an acronym. I know what this is for, and I've created an acronym from it. I have shifted the paradigm from it, but that's only what I'm doing individually. If you are using these words that everybody else is also hearing you use in a manner that is supposedly loving and playful, you're opening doors for people to hit you over the head with these words. Okay, just as we spoke about how detrimental they can be to the overall appearance of our community and culture and our people in terms of music, know that the way that you interact with one another is exactly that same thing. Now, we're going to leave next week to deal with the finances, the economical, the property inheritance portion of how we feel these things are not meant for blacks or the black community or for those who have descended from slaves to have. I know the country was built in a way. We know the country was built in a way for us to never have that. But that is not what we are going to allow, because we are of a higher competency. And once we acquire a unified ethos and a group consciousness, it's no stopping us passing down generational wealth. There's no stopping us powering through with African-centered educational practices that teach us about property inheritance, that teach us about the proper ways of lending, because there is no African bank. There is no black bank. That's not how it works. It's a different system of financial acquisition between its people. So again, time is always of the essence, and today we're out of it. So understand that I always am overjoyed to meet you, and I can't wait until next week when we pick up this series with the last installment. I am your host, Zulu Zeke Kali, the Healthy Human, Holistic Performance Enhancement Specialist, bringing you the Hueman Health Show on RainerAvenueRadio.world. As always, love your skin and what's within. Remain rooted, because it is some shifting sand times. Stay peaceful, y'all.